Video recording. Hi.
Just 1 minute, getting ready.
Okay.
Are you all ready now?
Yes.
Okay, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Have you ever had your deposition taken before?
This is my first time.
Okay.
Be gentle.
I will. We're not here to trick you. Well, I'm not here to trick you. If you don't understand the question, just say, I don't understand. Blah, blah, blah. We'll work it out before you answer, okay? If you need a break, hold on. If you get hot, let me know. If you get cold, let me know.
Okay.
We're just here to garner and gather information, okay? Will you state your full name for the record, please?
Wendi Jill Adelson.
Okay, and how old are you, Miss Adelson?
I'm 34. I'm 34.
You currently reside?
In Tallahassee, Florida.
The address?
33 Aqua Ridge Way. Oh, sorry. 3303 Aqua Ridge Way.
Is that a single family residence?
It is.
Rental?
It's a rental.
And for how long is it for?
It's a 1-year agreement.
When did you enter into that agreement?
In September
Of what year?
2012.
Okay.
Should I be writing some of this stuff down?
No. No. The other thing I forgot to tell you is that you have to speak clearly for the court reporter sitting right there. She can't transpose ahas and shake of the heads. So you have to say yes or no.
I'll do that, and I'll try to look at you.
Okay. And remember, your court reporter is to your right. Yes. And you're looking at your attorney. At the attorney asking any questions.
Yeah, they're right ahead of me. Danny's right here. Danny's right over here. There's his lawyer. My lawyer's there.
And I think that what she means is, okay, I'll do that. Why is she saying I'm trying to think, why is she saying I tried to look at you?
I have no idea. Maybe because she wouldn't interact with Danny? Because he's there?
Okay, I'll do that. Just let's redo that line and just say, I'll do that. And then you turn to the court reporter and you tell her, I'll try to look at you.
Okay.
Because it could be that, you're talking to the court reporter, the reporter's taking things down.
Okay.
So you just say that. It doesn't mean that you're going to do it.
Okay.
And maybe every once in a while you can take a look at her. Okay?
Will do.
Let's redo that line. Okay, so you have to say yes, no.
I'll do that. And I'll try and look at you.
And that expires in September 2013.
I believe so, but I'd have to check to be sure.
When did you secure that rental?
In August of 2012.
Did that require a first and last month's rent?
I don't remember. I can check.
How much is the rent?
It's about $18.50 per month.
Are you responsible for the maintenance?
I'm responsible for utilities and general upkeep.
Do you mow the yard?
I do have to pay extra, yeah, for mowing the lawn.
You are currently married, is that correct?
As far as I know.
To Mr. Markel, Dan Markel?
That's him. Well, start over. That's him.
Okay, and remember, so Danny Markel is sitting to my right. So you would be pointing.
I'm pointing that way because he's right next to you. Yeah. Wait.
But he's on the other side. He's on the other side of me. He's to my right.
Oh shoot. Okay.
So let's do that line again. Okay. So, to Mr. Markel, Danny Markel.
That's him.
And y'all have kids?
We do.
How many?
2.
And you filed a petition for dissolution of marriage from Mr. Markel, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How long were y'all married before you filed the petition?
I think about 6 years.
And let me tell you something. These lines that I'm doing, I'm not going to use them. So I'm cutting short to make your video and this tonight's shorter.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to help you make this not last forever.
Okay.
I'm going to redo it by myself and do it beautifully and all that. So this is just short to help you go with the lines, okay?
Thank you.
All right. So during the course of your marriage?
Oh, sorry. You went straight to the bond part.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Did you read that already? I think it's 6 years. You read that one,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's about 6 years. Okay. So during the course of your marriage?
During part of the marriage, I was a law student, and I was employed at various law firms during summertime, and then also during the school year.
What law school did you go to?
I started at the University of Miami Law School, and then I finished up at Florida State for my last year.
When you finished at Florida State, what was Mr. Markel, a professor at the time?
Uh-huh.
Is that why?
That's why we moved, yeah.
You moved?
Yeah, that's why we moved.
Got you.
And then I started working. I worked as a staff attorney in Miami the year we were down there. And then I worked basically as a staff attorney again. They called it a program director for the Center of Human Rights up here at FSU. And then the last 2 years, I've been working as a director of kind of a legal service / education entity at the law school.
Okay. And one more thing I wanted to tell you just to help you with this, okay? So I am not concerned about being verbatim perfect. So if you want to, for example, do more move in the eyes or the eye context, look less like you're writing, and there are a couple of mistakes, I really don't care so long as the sentence makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So if you understand what you're saying and you just omit a word, I don't care about that.
Okay.
Unless it's something major.
Yes.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
Just so you know. Okay. So, all right. And I'm not going to interrupt very often. This is the director's part. I'm almost done with the directions.
You're good.
Okay. You said you were a staff attorney in Miami. Who were you a staff attorney for?
For the Children of Law Youth Clinic.
At the university?
At the University of Miami.
What were y'all doing in Miami at that time?
We were trying to get Danny a job at the University of Miami Law School.
And what happened with that?
It didn't work out. The vote didn't go in his favor, so we moved back up to Tallahassee.
How long were y'all in Miami, approximately, as a married couple?
As a married couple, let's see, we got married in February, and we moved over the summer, I think, after I took the bar, so around a year.
Did Mr. Markel what did he do during that time?
He worked as a law professor.
And where did you move from there?
We moved back to Tallahassee.
And you've been here in Tallahassee ever since?
Uh-huh.
And your children were born in Tallahassee?
Uh-huh.
Keep in mind, young lady, this is an ad-lib, to say yes or no. So, I'm just kidding. When you moved back to Tallahassee, what type of position did Mr. Markel move into at that point?
The same as before.
So was that a tenure professor at that point?
No, he was tenure track at that point. He was always tenure track, but he didn't have tenure yet.
And does he have tenure now?
He does.
When did he get that?
I really don't remember what year it was. I'm sure he knows.
Okay. So the next time that you see "uh-huh," you're free to just, instead of saying "uh-huh," just actually say "yes." Okay, I'm telling you this.
Okay.
Okay. So if you see that she says "uh-huh," you can just say "yes."
Okay.
You don't have to use it literally like the way it's there. Okay. And when did he get that? We did that one. I really don't remember.
Yeah, we did out.
You did that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you approximate is it more in the years range or months range?
I think it was sometime after one of the children was born, so probably around 2009 or 2010, one of those.
Give me your employment history.
Sure. Let's see. Where have I worked? So I've just worked at 2 places in Tallahassee.
Okay.
I worked at the Center for the Advancement of Human Rights at FSU until my funding ran out there.
What does that mean?
And then they lost their funding, so I lost my job. It means I was funded by the Florida Bar Foundation.
Oh, okay.
And then they lost their funding, so I lost my job.
And no interest in coming in from the trust accounts anymore?
Yeah, they lost all of their money, so I lost the job at the law school directing the medical legal partnership.
Okay.
And so I've been doing that the last 2 years.
How much does that position pay?
It pays $85, I think, something close to that.
And has your position changed in any manner?
The only way that my position's changed is that it's become more secure. Before filing for the petition, they weren't really sure if they were going to continue with either the clinic that I ran or the position that I had.
Okay.
And there was talk of an increase in salary if they stayed on, but there's been no increase as of yet.
And how did the position become more secure?
I had to interview for my position, and I had to basically have my colleagues sit in my classes, talk to my students, and speak with my supervisors, check out my syllabus, and then they did like a whole national search for my position.
So they interviewed other applicants for your position?
Yes.
And when was it announced that you were hired?
In December.
You said that they had to talk to your supervisor?
Yeah, it's the same supervisor. He's the director of the Public Interest Law Center, which is where I work.
Okay. Did you sign a new contract?
Well, oh, no, sorry.
So you're still operating under the same contract as before?
Yes, I am.
In what manner is it more secure?
That's a good question. Because I guess it's not official. How would it be more secure? Well, the facility voted to keep the clinic, so they didn't even know.
Correction. The faculty.
Oops, sorry. I was like not looking at it.
That's fine. We can redo that one. So let's redo the line.
Yeah.
You started good. It's a good question. I like that question.
That's a good question. Because I guess it's not official. How is it more secure? Well, the faculty voted to keep the clinic, so they didn't even know if they would continue what they were doing, so the clinic itself is going to continue.
Okay.
And then they interviewed other people for my position and decided to keep me. So that means they would continue to offer me employment first.
So next time that there is an interruption with an okay, I'm just going to skip it and you can just continue reading your answer or your long answer. You can maybe do a little pause and keep going, okay? There's no need to put those okays in there. All right, let's go back to the question, okay? And did you become a clinical professor? Did your title change?
Right. So my title changed from assistant, I guess, what was I called? I was called a visiting clinical professor, so I stopped visiting.
Awesome. And how does your review work?
I'm not really clear on that, to be honest. They don't have a clear system for clinical professors. It's a non-tenure track, so it's not as straightforward as like a regular short-term tenure track, or sorry, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I'm like, stumbling over my words today.
That's all right, you can redo it.
I'm not really clear on that, to be honest. They don't have a clear system for clinical professors. It's a non-tenure track, so it's not as straightforward as a regular short of tenure track professors. So I don't really know, and I'm not really sure if they know.
How many clinical professors does FSU currently have?
It currently has 3 clinical professors.
Of the two other clinical professors, do you know approximately how long they've been employed at the College of Law?
It's been a long time. One is preparing to retire, and the faculty is hoping to shut her clinic down when she retires. So at that point, there would be fewer clinical professors, you know.
Why do they want to shut that one down?
I mean, there's different opinions on the faculty about clinical education. Some people are very supportive, and some people are very dismissive. And then you have some who are just neutral.
Is it possible that the one you're doing might take the place of hers?
Yeah, anything's possible. Yeah, I mean, anything's possible.
I'm not sure I heard. Did you say how long Mr. Anino had been there?
I'm not really sure how long he's been there for. I mean, the clinics have taken different shape over the years. I don't know how long he was there before the law school started funding him. So he used to be funded entirely by the Florida Bar Foundation. So it was basically like legal aid organization housed at a law school. So I don't know how long he's been working there as a clinical professor. He's definitely been situated there for a long time, but he used to like fundraise for his own salary.
And your pay scale, has it changed at all?
Nope.
How do you determine your salary?
How do I determine my salary? I look at the paychecks that I have and I see the amount on them.
There was no salary negotiations involved?
No, actually.
And when you come up for an interview, are there salary negotiations involved?
I don't think there are.
I mean, just keep going, I guess.
I mean, there may be. I haven't come up for review yet, and they haven't told me what the process looks like when I do.
Are you slated to teach in the fall, or do you know whatever it is?
Yeah, if I sign my contract, then I'd be slated to teach in the fall, but that's up in the air whether I'll sign my contract.
You have not signed the contract yet?
I haven't, no.
Do you have a copy of the contract?
I don't because it's unsigned. I didn't know I should bring an unexecuted contract.
But there's one that was provided to you, right?
They gave it to me, yeah, but I can't sign it until our legal proceedings go through because I don't know if I'll be living in Tallahassee.
Are you on any committees for the law school?
I'm not on any official committees. I have volunteered to help them with like their admission calls, so I do some of that, but it's just purely voluntary. I'm not on any committee.
Are you working at all this summer?
I am. I'm teaching this summer. My contract runs through the summer, actually. So it runs until early August.
Are you aware if the class you're supposed to be teaching is on the website to be offered in the fall?
It may be. I mean, they're definitely going to offer the class. Whether I teach it is another story, but they may just have put my name on it, offered it for the fall.
Describe to me under the new contract what your duties would entail during the fall if you were to remain there.
Just the same as they do now.
And what does that look like? How many hours teaching? How many hours at the school?
So I teach 6 hours a week. I supervise 8 to 10 law students while they represent patients at the neighborhood medical center. And I do immigration and disability. So I spend a lot of time in court. When I do the immigration court, the closest one is in Orlando. So I have frequent trips to and from Orlando. I spend a lot of time with the students supervising them out in the neighborhood medical center and working with our partners at the med school.
What does a law student do at the neighborhood medical clinic? What is their role?
So their role is to work on my disability cases. So they meet with their client and they do an intake. They, collect their information and they advocate for them on the behalf of their claim for disability.
So you basically run a clinical program that helps the students do disability?
And immigration.
And immigration?
Yes.
Because when I was there, I did Krieger's thing, and it was criminal law. It's the same idea.
Except yours is an externship program, so you probably worked with an organization like Krieger supervised you while you worked for an organization like outside of the law school. So this is an in-house clinic, so it's located at the law school, and I'm the supervising attorney. So this is an in-house clinic. So it's located at the law school, and I'm the supervising attorney.
And do you physically go with the students to these clinics that you're supervising them at?
Yeah, there aren't any, like, the clinic I'm talking about is the community health clinic. It's located at Lincoln, you know, the old Lincoln High School. So sometimes I go with them and sometimes I don't. I go with them to their court appearances, but I don't always go with them to every interview they do with their client.
So, are your trips to Orlando then with students?
With students.
With hot students? I'm sure that was Dan Markel that was thinking that.
I know, that's why I felt it was like a leading question, like with students.
Yes, exactly. Alright, let me go back. Okay, let's do that one again. Let's do that question again, and then you can stop the tape. So are your trips to Orlando then with students?
Yes, with students.
So you're supervising students?
Exactly.
In disability hearings or immigration hearings?
Right. I mean, I do still have, I had to take my caseload with me when I left the Center for Human Rights because they didn't have any money to hire anybody. And I'd opened up, you know, oh gosh, I mean, over 100 cases there. So I do have a number of cases, but you know, those students aren't working on them right now. Those students are working on them as well.
So is public interest law kind of been your track or your field since graduation?
Yeah, since graduation. I mean, I worked during law school and I worked for a number of for-profit law firms and I did a lot of work, but you know, Tallahassee isn't a great place for that, so.
What type of for-profit law firms did you work for in law school?
I worked for Steele, Hector, and Davis. They imploded, so they're called something else now.
Oh, my brother-in-law worked there when they imploded.
I was working there at the time, and I worked for Holland and Knight. Here, I'm going to pause the video now.
Yes. Okay, so my brother-in-law worked in there.
So you're on the top of 20, line
yes.
1.
All right. What type of work did you do for them?
I mean, I was a summer associate at the law firm associates. So just kind of a variety of things, some trademark, some First Amendment stuff, some land use things. I mean, just, you know, whatever they needed help with.
When was the last time that you were employed in a private law firm?
Probably the last time I was employed by a private law firm would have been Holland and Knight.
During law school?
That was during law school.
You ever worked at a private law firm since passing the bar?
No.
Ever informed Mr. Markel that your new position would have a raise associated with it?
Yes.
And what did you tell Mr. Markel?
I think he asked me if I would have a raise associated with my new position, and I told him I would.
Why did you tell him that?
Because it's the truth.
So if you sign the contract, you expect to receive a greater compensation?
A raise, yes.
Do you know how much compensation raise you will receive with the new contract?
Yes, I think it would be about $15,000 or more.
So you would go from 85 to 100?
Yeah, close to that.
Okay. Yes, no. Remember, yes, no.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
On the other side.
She's this way.
No, your co-reporter is that way, and then your attorney is on the other side.
Because I have my thing down. Oh, I'll do it here. Because all the other...
Your attorney's to your left.
Yeah, so that's my left. This is my left. This is my right.
Oh, sorry. So it must look reversed here.
So, I have it all written down on this chart. So...
Oh, so I'm so sorry. For some reason, like right now, like... You have the left, to me it looks like you have your left hand raised.
Oh.
Which one is it, your right hand?
Left.
Oh my gosh, this is weird. How is that possible?
I don't know.
Huh.
Yeah, that's
Wait,
weird.
That's your left hand?
This is
your left?
Left.
Okay, so that's your left. So your attorney
my
should be
attorney.
on your left.
Yep. And that's the court report over here.
Yeah, that's right. So you're telling the court reporter is the one. Okay, I got it. So we're good. So I understand. You're correct.
Okay.
No, no. So let me explain to you. So Miss Adamson was your lawyer saying yes or no. So you're supposed to be
Oh,
looking
I
at
didn't.
that again.
My bad. I was thinking it was
Yeah,
her.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm so
So
sorry.
let's do this again. Okay.
Yeah.
So all right. So you would go from about 85 to 100,000.
Yeah, close to that. Uh-huh.
Yes or no?
I'm sorry. Yes.
Are they aware you may not sign the contract?
Yes, the dean is aware, and so is my supervisor,
Anita?
Anino.
And do you have a date that you have to sign the contract by?
There isn't a date on there, no, and they're aware of the court proceedings, so they're aware that I'm just waiting until I know what's going on.
You okay with that?
Uh-huh, yes.
Compensatory nature?
Can you clarify what you mean by compensatory nature?
Do you accrue annual and sick leave?
I do. I do accrue annual and sick leave. There aren't paid vacations because you would, yeah.
I've always worked private, so I don't know how that works.
Yeah, so you accrue annual and sick leave.
Okay?
And as a state of Florida employee, you're entitled to certain medical benefits.
If y'all both state of Florida for the kids,
That's right.
would you have a pension plan?
I believe so, yes.
Do you have one now?
I do.
Do you know which plan you have now?
I think it's Tia Cref, but I'm not
Okay,
positive.
let me stop you there. I never heard it referred to as TIA. So TIAA crap.
Oh, they just call it TIAA Cref.
Yeah, I think so. So just say,
Okay.
So let me do that question again. Okay. Do you know which plan you have now?
I think it's the TIAA Cref, but I'm not positive.
Okay. And how long have you had? How long is the contract valid for?
It's a year-to-year contract. So it's valid from, I think it's August 7th of 2020 to August 7th of 2013. And my guess is that the next contract would start August 8th of 2013 if I were to start back at the law school.
So you teach 6 hours per week, supervise students,
Yes.
travel to and from Orlando to their immigration and disability hearings.
Uh-huh. The disability hearings are local. They're not in Orlando.
So it's the immigration that's.
It's immigration. Uh-huh.
That one is the one that takes, there are more disability cases or more immigration cases?
Really depends on the semester. I mean, I had one semester where I had a lot more immigration cases. I mean, as an attorney, you know, some cases run on different schedules, and so it really just depends.
How many students do you teach?
I teach 8 to 10 students each semester.
So in the grand scheme of things, from a law professor perspective, not a lot of students, huh?
It depends on which law professor. Some law professors teach very small classes, so that law professor might think in the grand scheme of things we teach an equal number of classes.
There are professors with less than 8 students?
They would. Uh-huh.
What professors would do those?
Professor Markel sometimes has classes where he teaches less than 8 students, maybe in a small seminar. Not a survey class.
During those times, that would be larger?
He might not.
8 students an entire semester?
There are.
What time is your class?
My class is on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9:30 to 12:30.
Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday?
I read journals. My students each write about a 10-page journal once a week reflecting on their experiences. So I read the journals and comment on them. I read their written briefs and comment on them. They read through their applications for disability. I read through their medical summary reports that they write about the clients. I read through their summaries about whether we should take the cases, and then I meet with them to discuss whether we're going to accept or decline representation of the proposed cases. And then I bring new referrals to them and discuss the cases. I also do some writing on the side. That's encouraged as being part of the academic community to some legal writing. I field questions from from people from the community and the larger public interest community about immigration cases, and then I work on a couple of outside immigration cases on amicus beliefs, or amicus beliefs.
Okay, I'll tell you how that. You say the last sentence again. So it's amicus briefs. So,
Oh my gosh, I said beliefs.
yes, I know. So just as that last sentence, and then.
And then I work on cases, or a couple of outside immigration cases on amicus briefs.
Are you at the law school on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays?
Sometimes I am, and sometimes I'm not.
And if you're not at the law school, where would you be?
I would just be anywhere there's Wi-Fi working.
So there's flexibility?
Yeah, I don't have to be there every day, but because of the demands of the students, it's really better that I'm in the office as much as possible so that I can be present for the students.
On a typical Tuesday, when would you, when you teach a class, what time would you leave?
What time would I leave work? When I finished all the work I had to do for the day.
Is it typically,
I don't know that there is a typical Tuesday.
wow. Are there times that you would be at the office like at 9 o'clock at night on a Tuesday?
Only if it's a day that I don't have the boys, so I wouldn't stay that late if I had to pick them up from school or anything like that.
Prior to September, what's it common that you would stay late?
Was it common that I would stay late for work?
Yeah, during the course of your all's marriage.
I tend not to like to stay late at the office. So if I'm going to work late, I would probably do it at home.
And prior to y'all's separation, did y'all work schedule, Mr. Markel's schedule?
Yes.
And could you please describe when that would have happened and under what circumstances?
So it definitely changed from one child to two children, and depending on what was going on with our various work and travel schedules. So it's, it's hard to remember to go back that far about exactly who we employed and when and for how long. I mean, can you be a little bit more specific?
Well, I mean, typically one of y'all would pick up the kids up from daycare to the best of y'all's ability, right?
Yeah, I mean, when we only had one boy, I used to drop him off and pick him up because I like to keep him home with me as much as possible. So if there was time when he was going to daycare, I would take him around 10 o'clock and I'd pick him up around 2.
Your schedule allowed you to pick him up, take him and pick him up?
That was when I was working for the Center of the Human Rights, and I went through periods of time where I just didn't have a whole lot to do there, so I could get what I needed to do done, in just a couple of hours.
Would Mr. Markel do any of the drop-off and pick-up with your first child?
I'm sure occasionally, but for the most part, I did it.
What changed? You said that was with the second child?
Because I was home and my mom was with us most of the time too. So he was 14 months old and we had 2 people to help.
Hold on. I think we skipped one part. Can you go back up? So there was a question. And what changed? You said that was with your second child, and then...
Oh, sorry, yeah.
That's fine.
I didn't have that highlighted. So when the second was born, both kids stayed home until January, so we weren't having to do drop-offs and pickups.
Why was the first home until January?
Because I was home with my mom, and so with both of us being there, so with the 14-month-old, and we had 2 people to help, so there, we were both home with him.
Mr. Markel took some time off as well with the birth of your sons, correct?
Are you referring, what do you mean took some time off?
Took some paternity leave, or took a semester off.
He took paternity leave when the first one.
And why did he do that?
Because he was entitled to do it. This was fall of 2011, I think.
And did y'all move at that time?
No.
Did y'all go to South Florida for an extended period of time?
The fall of 2011 we did. We went down, Danny had a lot of travel that he needed to do, so we went down to South Florida so he could do his travel.
And what travel did he have?
He had a fellowship from NYU, so I think he probably still has. where he would go up once a month, and then he had some other conferences he wanted to attend.
Approximately when to when?
He wasn't situated at the law school, but he was still working.
What does that mean, not situated at the law school, but still working?
So he wasn't physically present at the law school because we were in South Florida, but he was still working every day.
Was he able to spend more time with the children?
I really couldn't say.
Well, you were there. I mean, I wasn't there.
I mean, more time than when?
Well, before, when he was working at the law school,
No.
did he spend more time with the children during that time?
No.
Describe Danny as a parent.
Can you be more specific?
What are his good parenting qualities?
He has an animated face. He's excited to be around the kids now.
Was he not before?
Before when?
You said he's excited to be around the kids now, which implies that before he was not excited to be around them.
I think he's more excited now. He wants to do good for them. He cares about them. I'm gonna pause it here so we can stop it. One, it is recording.
Alright, action. Do you trust him with the children?
In some ways I do.
And in what ways you do not?
I think he's made some bad decisions.
What would those be?
Well, one of them is afraid of swimming now because of some of the choices Danny made with him. The boys tell me that he hurts them when he buckles them into the car. He made a really bad decision with a babysitter that my son told me she hit him, and then he continued to employ her.
And what did your son say?
He told me that she repeatedly hit him.
The boys, what else?
The boys tell me a lot of things that he says in relation to all sorts of items of clothing that are his and needs to be returned to him, or items in the house. So I don't always trust that he is representing me as well as he could to the kids, honestly.
And do you represent him as well as you can?
I absolutely do.
Did you inform Mr. Markel of your decision to file a petition for dissolution of marriage?
I did.
And how did that?
I called him on one of his trips to New York, and I let him know that I'd be moving out and I'd be filing for divorce.
In fact, when he returned, you had filed a petition?
Yes.
Left it on the bed?
Yes.
And taken a large quantity of the personal property from the home without going through it with Mr. Markel, correct?
No.
You did go to the personal property list with Mr. Markel?
You said I took a large amount of personal property.
Yeah.
I took some things that were mine.
Did you take things that were the children's, right?
I took some of the things that were the children's, yeah.
Returned to New York?
They were with me.
Mr. Markel of your residence?
It took, I don't remember how long it took me to inform him of my residence.
Can you guesstimate?
It was, it was when he threatened me.
No, well, how did he threaten you?
He told me that he would prosecute me for kidnapping charges on an unwelcome visit to my office. And so at that point, I told him what my address was. I didn't want to involve the police.
And where his children were?
His children were with him at an ice cream store the day after he returned, so I'm not really sure I understand the question.
Do you think it's okay for a father not to know where they live?
I don't think I understand the question.
Would you want to know where your children are residing?
I would want to know where my children are.
And where his children were residing?
He knew that they were residing with me.
But you did not inform him of a physical address.
Due to his threats, I did not.
Has he ever been physically violent with you?
No.
Have you ever called the police for any sort of altercation?
With him?
Yeah.
No.
Ever filed for domestic violence injunction?
I have not.
And what clothing, what items of personal property did you take of the children's?
I took the items that my family purchased for the children.
Such as?
I took some pajamas, some t-shirts, some shorts, some pants.
Did you take the kid's bed?
Did I take the bed? I took the bed that my parents purchased.
Did you take the dresser?
I took one of the dressers. There were two.
Did you take the bookshelf?
I don't remember.
Do you have a bookshelf in your house?
I have a bookshelf.
What happens next? Does he come back and does he finish his conference?
He came back early from his conference.
The parenting class?
Sometime last summer.
Is that accurate?
Sure, that sounds right.
Were you seeking a dissolution of marriage?
I talked to him about seeking a divorce in the summer before, so I talked to him about in 2011.
What happened as a result of that?
The conversation led to more conversations where we ended up seeking counseling.
From whom?
Mr. Deichman?
How long were you in counseling with Mr. Deichman?
Only a couple of months.
You all just stopped?
Well, summertime came around and we had a lot of travel going on, and so we just kind of stopped that summer, but I didn't feel like it was really going anywhere anyways.
Did Mr. Markel expect divorce papers when he left for New York?
I don't really know what he expected.
Give me a hypothetical.
I can't really speculate.
How did Mr. Markel react when you told him you wanted a divorce?
He was angry.
Angry or upset?
Is there a difference?
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain the difference to me?
It's not for me to explain it, but there is a difference.
Okay.
Alright, let's stop and just take a look and see if it's working.
Recording. Back to you.
Back to me, okay. You said he threatened you. How did he threaten you? What threats did he make?
Sure. Well, the summer before, when I told him I wanted to leave the marriage, he told me that I was welcome to leave, but that he would stay in the house, he would keep the children, and then I wouldn't have any access to any of the money.
Okay, yeah, this is a very important line right here, right? I mean, she's basically telling, so I want you to, are you happy with how that one came out?
I was kind of being like sarcastic about like, yeah, like he told me
Yeah.
this, like that's a
Are you
threat.
happy with it? I wasn't looking at you, so I don't know. Are you happy with it? Because this is like a really like a...
We can do it one more time if you want it. If you want to.
Yeah, let's just do one more take.
Okay, yeah.
Where you try to do, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
So let me ask you the question again. Okay. You said he threatened you. How did he threaten you? What threats did he make?
Sure. Well, the summer before, when I told him I wanted to leave the marriage, he told me that I was welcome to leave, but that he would stay in the house, he would keep the children, and then I wouldn't have access to any of the money.
Sure. That was 2 years ago. He came into your office and made threats?
Yeah, yes.
What were they?
I think I said them before, but he came into my office and told me that if I didn't give him my address, that he would threaten me with kidnapping.
How'd you remove the stuff from your home?
I had a couple of friends come help me.
Who came to help?
You want the names of my friends?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
You have to answer that. Sorry.
Lynn and her husband, Alan. And then
Yeah.
I hired a moving company for the heavier items.
Who'd you hire?
Good. I can get the information. I don't know right now.
And how long did it take?
Just an hour or two?
Well, here's what I'm struggling with. Did he know that this was coming? Did he know that you were filing for divorce?
I really don't know.
Well, did he act like he knew it was coming?
I'm not sure.
Objection, ask and answer, Thomas. What was your plan with parenting at that point in time?
In terms of parenting, I thought I would continue to parent as I always had.
What about Mr. Markel?
I don't know what his plans were with parenting.
What were your plans for parenting with Mr. Markel when you left their marital home?
I assumed that we would parent generously and quite well.
Is generously to you equal time sharing?
No,
Why not?
because I think I've established a better relationship with the children.
And why do you think you have established a better relationship with the children?
Because I've spent more time with them.
Is that the only reason?
No, there's lots of reasons.
Like what others?
I just think we have a closer bond.
Why?
It's just the way I feel.
Have they ever been seen by any psychological expert?
Not to my knowledge.
Since roughly the date of your separation, y'all have roughly exercised an equal time sharing schedule, correct?
Because that's what Danny wanted.
Correct.
Correct.
Are the kids suffering?
I don't believe they're suffering.
In fact, the kids are doing really well, right?
I would say so.
Can you describe Danny's involvement with the children during the course of y'all's marriage?
It was always changing. So there's a noticeable difference pre and post divorce. Would you like both options? So
Sure.
pre-divorce, it was limited. Post,
Well, when you say divorce, can you, I mean filing.
oh,
You mean filing, okay, so you're not divorced. Right, okay.
right.
So pre-filing, he wasn't an involved father?
I wouldn't say he wasn't an involved father. I mean, you're asking about the course of time, and I said it changed. So it's more involved now than it used to be.
Did he take the kids to school before y'all filed for divorce?
Sometimes.
Would he pick them up at school?
Sometimes.
Would he go to the school during the course of his work day? Spend time with the children?
Never.
Would he bathe with them?
Sometimes.
I would just say bathe with a southern accent. Have you a clue? Bathe.
Babe.
Would he bathe with, okay, on an average week, would he bathe with them one night?
If there's 7 days in a week, maybe 2 out of 7,
Would he attend doctor's appointments?
he would.
Did he attend your prenatal appointments?
Sometimes.
Over the course of your pregnancies, would you say that he attended 50% of the prenatal appointments?
Less.
Less than 50%?
Yes.
Was he present for the birth of both of your children?
He was.
Did he take time off after the birth of your children?
Well, the first one was born in the summer, so summertime's already off.
Why is he first afraid of swimming?
Because Danny was forceful with him in the water and made him swim when he didn't want to.
I just told you that.
My child.
Have you had any psychological experts interview your son?
No, I just talked to him.
Mr. Markel asked you to attend an appointment. Any type of appointment, is that correct?
I believe so.
Did he attend? Did you attend?
I didn't know there was a scheduled meeting.
You were not informed of a meeting?
There was a meeting, and if there was a meeting and I failed to meet it, I didn't know about it.
Have you ever attempted to meet with the expert for the schedule for the children?
I have.
Who was that?
I talked with the one expert, and I've talked with a close friend of mine who has a double PhD in child and family issues.
What did the double PhD say?
She just told me.
What did the expert say?
She just told me that as long as the children feel loved and cared for by both of the parents, they would do just fine.
What about your friend? Did she tell you that the three worst things that could happen to a child are divorce, death, and relocation?
No, she didn't.
Does she suggest to you all have individual parenting time with the children?
She did.
Has Mr. Markel attempted to implement that with you?
He has. All right, I'm gonna stop this now.
Yes. That's well, no problems.
Everything's good.
All right.
Yep.
Recording.
It is on 6 seconds already.
3, 2, 1, action. Have you been open and receptive to the same?
I've been open and receptive to the idea.
And have y'all done that?
Not yet.
And in what ways have you been open and receptive to have that happen?
Sure. I mean, I think it's an interesting idea, and I'm open to implementing it, but there's just a lot. There's a lot more aspects of our situation that need to be worked out before we can do something like that.
So the only thing that the expert told you, did she give you any advice? Did she talk to you about scheduling?
No, not really.
Did you ask her about scheduling?
Yes.
And what about the double PhD? What are those PhDs in?
So one's in psychology and the other one's in social work.
And does Danny... okay, sorry.
I can't recall any specific advice from her right now.
Does Danny love... Okay, does Danny love his children?
That's a question for him to answer.
In your opinion, does he love his children?
Uh-huh. Yes.
In your opinion, does he care for his children?
Yes.
And where is your double PhD's friend from? Where's she at?
No, she's not.
I'm sorry, okay. Yeah, so the question was, where is she in Tallahassee?
It's okay. No, she's not.
Where is she?
She's currently in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
How do you know her?
We're old friends from college.
So the complaints are that he hurts them when he buckles them in the car, and you.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking you were saying that.
It's right. Buckles them in the car,
And the only complaints? I mean, those are just 3 specific examples.
well, okay. What other complaints do you have?
There were other things that I mentioned in terms of all the things that he'll say to the kids about me, about our situation. I've talked to Danny about this. I don't like that he asks me in front of them whether I'll be spending time with them. And I think his overarching parenting is more about him and less about the best interest of our children.
Okay, explain what that means.
No, I can't really elaborate on that.
Well, how is it about him, not about the children?
I think I'll just leave it at that.
Well, I'm asking. I need an answer.
In the past, Phelps told me that that we shouldn't be making very frequent visits to the school, but Danny wanted to see the kids, and so he did, even though developmentally it may have been better for Ben to have breakfast with his peers.
When did Double Dr. Phelps tell you that?
She told me that in early fall.
After the petition was filed?
After the petition was filed, because Danny wasn't having breakfast before the petition.
So Dr. Phelps told you that Mr. Markel attending breakfast was a bad idea?
She did.
Did you discuss that with Danny?
I did.
And what was his response?
I don't remember exactly, but he continued to have breakfast. She told me that our boys were upset too from the visits because the young children at that age are so used to, if you're coming, it's because they're there to pick them up and leave. So he wasn't upset to see his dad. He was upset at the fact that his routine was being disturbed and he wasn't leaving with him.
Did Dr. Phelps say anything else?
At that time, no.
Any other subsequent times?
I mean, we've had conversations. She's told me all sorts of things over the years.
Adversely affecting the children?
No.
Positively affecting the children?
No.
Because it's his routine to think that?
Well, I checked in with her later at the time, and I went in and she said that the kids were doing fine. So I think she changed her original assessment.
Majority of the time?
I don't think I really drove on one car or the other the majority of the time. We'd switch back and forth.
Is that correct?
Before we got the car seats in the car, yes. And then once we had the car seats, which we had, actually, we had a car seat in both cars. I think for the first, or we didn't even have a minivan until we had the second. I don't really remember.
Did you leave the children anywhere to sleep?
I did.
Where did you leave?
I got a crib for the second, and I have a mattresses for the boys' bed.
So there was a physical bed set up, not just a mattress on the floor?
Yes.
How much clothing, how much of the children's clothing did you leave behind for Danny?
I left half.
Do you have any of Mr. Markel's personal property?
Not that I know of.
Has he asked you to return anything specifically?
He asked for me to return his tennis racket in the pleadings, and I did.
Does Mr. Markel have a key to your home?
I don't think so.
Do you have a key to the residence that he's residing in?
I used to have a key, but I took it off my chain a while ago, and I honestly don't know where it is.
Around the time of y'all's separation, early October, did one of the children get ill?
Yeah, one got a cold.
And did Mr. Markel have a desire to see his sick child during that time?
Well, when he got sick, he had to teach that day, so he asked if me or my mom could pick him up and take him to the doctor, or meet us at the doctor. And so I had to teach that morning as well, so my mom took him to his doctor's appointment.
And did Mr. Markel attend?
No.
Alright, well. Back to the personal property. Has he asked for the return of his great uncle's ring?
He has.
And so he has asked for the return of other items?
He has asked. Oh, I thought you meant items that were his.
Well, what is your position on the ring?
My position is that it's mine.
You removed it from the safety deposit box without asking?
It's our shared safety deposit, so yes.
Okay, that's just a typo from the court reporter. So she means it's our shared safety deposit box.
Okay.
So you can redo that line. Okay, you removed it from the safety deposit box without asking?
It's our shared safety deposit box, so yes, I didn't ask for permission first.
And what else did you remove?
I don't remember what else was in there.
So removing was the ring?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
In fact, that's not the ring that you wore as an engagement ring, correct?
I actually usually didn't wear a ring.
There were 2 engagement rings, correct?
Yeah, one from my grandmother and then one from Danny's great aunt.
And the one that you traditionally wore was which one?
Neither.
Either, okay. So how then, if there's 2 engagement rings, do you assume that the one that's from his great aunt is yours?
Because her widow gave it to me as a present.
Directly to you?
Yes,
And is he still with us?
he is.
So if he asked for the ring back, what would your intent be?
I would give it back to him.
Did you inform Mr. Markel that you removed those items from the safety deposit box?
I did not.
Alright. Next item on my list here. Who had the boys for the Halloween of 2012?
That was definitely a contentious day. So I believe I was supposed to have them. I think he was leaving the next day for Canada, I think.
In fact, you all had agreed to meet so that he could see the kids on Halloween.
I think we had initially talked about that, but then some other things came up that day that made it impossible to meet.
So something physically arose that made it so you couldn't actually get over there or something?
No, I mean, there wasn't an obstruction in the road. I found out some really unpleasant information and found it impossible to spend time with him at all that evening.
I see. So she was getting upset at Danny for some stuff that she learned. That's what's going on here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just talking to you. I'm trying to understand what's going on. So I guess, so he was about to go to Canada. This is just my analysis of the case, and I also tried to figure out what's going on here, right? So he was about to go to Canada, and he had the kids in the morning for Halloween, but because he was going to go on a trip, he also wanted to spend the evening, Halloween,
Evening as well.
costumes and everything at that party that she had agreed to go to. So he was going to go there too, so he could spend more time with the kids.
Yeah.
On Halloween. And so she initially was going to go to that party, but then she found out about some stuff that he said, I guess, and she got upset at him. And so she just changed her mind and said, okay, now I'm keeping the kids there, I'm not going to that party. So that's what happened here.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. Sorry about that interruption.
Oh,
Do you want to read this line? Where were we? Okay. So.
Hold on. It's 10 minutes into this. I'm just going to stop it.
Hey, are we at page number 52?
Hold on. Headphones. What's up?
Are we at page number 52?
We're on 52. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So we're almost at the halfway point.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So what information is that?
They told me that Danny had shared that he thought I was mentally ill and that I'd stolen a lot of money from him.
Anything else?
That's all I can remember.
Did you hear anything from anybody else?
I heard that same story from many people.
Who else?
Mutual friends who told me that she had run into Danny at Publix.
Anybody else?
Oh, you want everyone?
Yeah.
Oh, it's your line again.
I got lost here. Anything else?
So then wait, are you going to say it's a long list? There's A,
No.
B, C, D?
So which line? Okay, I was lost. So let's go back to anything else.
Okay.
Anything else?
Oh, you want everyone?
Where is
No,
it?
that's
I'm at the top of 53. Top of page 53.
line 3.
Line 2.
Wait, line 2?
Page 53.
Oh, anything else up there? Way up there. Okay, sorry.
Okay, yeah. Alright, so let me do it again. Action, 3, 2, 1, action. Anything else?
That's all I can remember.
Did you hear anything from anybody else?
I heard that same story from many people.
Who else?
A mutual friend told me about she had run into Danny at Publix.
Okay, anybody else?
Oh, you want everyone?
Yes, of course.
Well, Jay's husband, and then do you want friends outside of Tallahassee or just...
That's fine, that's fine. With regards to Halloween, y'all had worked out a parenting schedule prior to that, isn't that right?
I mean, at that point, things were consented and difficult. So, I mean, yeah, we were working with some sort of always in flux parenting plan.
Okay, and as part of those negotiations with regards to, you all traditionally try to work out a month-to-month kind of schedule. Is that an accurate schedule?
I think we were. Yeah, we were trying to do that.
Okay, leading up to Halloween, did you all agree prior to Halloween that he could see the boys that night?
If we were going to the same party, I agreed that he could see the same boys, but that he could see the boys. But then I decided not to go to the party.
Do you think that that's the right thing to do?
To go to a different party?
Not let the boys see their father on Halloween if you all had previously agreed to it.
I think there was a situation that came up and I didn't expect that to happen. And I think the right thing to do for the boys is to not have them experience tension between their parents. Receiving all that information about all the rumors that he'd been spreading about me that day was very distressing. And they saw their father that day at school for several hours. So it wasn't a question of them not seeing their father on Halloween.
You RSVP'd that you were going to go to the Vice party on Halloween, correct?
I actually RSVP'd to Maggie that I was not going to come to her party, but she didn't get the RSVP in time. But I'm sure there's a record of it.
Is there anything that you would have stopped? Is there anything that would have stopped you from dropping the kids off at that party so you personally didn't have to see Mr. Markel, but he could have spent the time with the children?
Mr. Markel spent time with the children all day at the boys' school, so that evening I was with the boys.
Is there anything that would have stopped you from dropping the children off at the Vice party?
Yes, my desire to be with my children.
Did Mr. Markel ever ask you to attend a counseling session after the petition for dissolution of marriage was filed?
He did.
Did you ever attend?
No, I didn't.
Why?
Because any conversation I had with Danny, whether via email or on the phone, should have been a pleading afterwards. And so I didn't feel like it would be a safe space to have any kind of productive conversation with him while litigation was pending.
When did you remove the passwords from the home, the children's passwords?
When I moved out of the house, the passwords came with me as well.
They just got up and walked?
Yes.
You took them, correct?
Yes.
Why did you take them?
Because I took all the important documents that I needed for the kids with me. I was in charge of the kids at that time.
But entitled to the passports. Sorry.
Re-ask your question, Thomas.
All right. Why is he not entitled to the passports?
Danny is not a U.S. citizen, and they're U.S. citizen passports and U.S. citizen kids. So he has to get a letter asking for my permission if the kids leave the country. So it seems just to make sense for me to have the passports.
Has he ever traveled to Canada without you before, with the children?
Before
you filed for divorce?
No.
During the course of y'all's marriage, y'all kept kosher at home, right?
No, not the whole time.
Well, that question didn't sound right. Let me correct myself. I want to make sure you understood. And the record is clear. During the course of y'all's marriage, y'all kept a kosher home. Isn't that correct?
No, not the whole time.
When did you start and when did you stop?
We were married in February 2006. So during that time, we lived in a house in Tallahassee where we didn't keep kosher. Then we moved to Miami to a house where we didn't keep kosher for a year, and then we moved back to Tallahassee to another residence where we didn't keep kosher
Okay.
for the bulk of the rest of that year. And then when we moved into the home on Trescott, then Danny suggested that we keep a kosher home there.
And you agreed?
We made certain concessions. Originally, we just didn't have any meat in the house, so it was basically a vegetarian home.
All right, let's do a little break, okay?
Yeah.
I just need to reset something here. So let's take 1 minute.
Alrighty,
¿Hablas
it's
hablas
filming.
español? ¿Hablas
Mi español es muy poquito y muy malo.
Muy mal.
Muy.
Parle français?
No. No French.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ready?
Ready. Okay, what one did we leave off of?
We are on the, did you offer him the children?
Okay.
Alright, so 3, 2, 1, action. You're Wendy. Did you offer him the children?
No, they were mine that night.
And what information did you find out?
I had just found out that there were rumors that he'd been spreading to me, I just found out
What information did you find out?
the rumors that he had been spreading about me to my friends and colleagues.
And what rumors and from whom?
Well, at that moment, I had a conversation with my friend's husband, and he told me that I should really keep a lookout because they didn't consider themselves to be friends of Danny. And he had shared some pretty unpleasant information about me to them.
What information is that?
They told me that Danny had shared with them that he thought I was mentally ill and that I'd stolen a lot of money from them. Well, from him.
Anything else?
That's all I remember.
And did you hear anything from anybody else?
I heard that same story from many people.
Who else?
Mutual friends who told me that she ran into him at Publix.
Anybody else?
You want the names of or everyone?
Yeah.
So, Jay's husband, and then do you want friends outside of Tallahassee or just...
I think you missed one line. Just say, it's a long list and then just go. So let's do it like this.
Oh, I thought
So
that
I'll
was,
say-
it says
that's
Q.
okay. Yeah. So you want everyone? I guess I was supposed to say, okay. So let's do it like this. So I say, anybody else? You say, do you want everyone? And I say yes. And then you say, it's a long list. And then you skip the ABC. You say, okay, there's Jay's husband. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So let's do it. All right. So anybody else?
Oh, you want everyone?
Yeah.
It's a long list. Okay, so Jay's husband, and then do you want friends outside of Tallahassee or just...
No, that's fine. With regards to Halloween, you all have worked according to schedule prior to that, right?
I mean, at that point, things were contested and difficult. So, I mean, yeah, we were working with some sort of always an influx of parenting plan. Or sorry, contested. I totally messed that up.
Oh, yeah, let's send that line again. You can just do it again.
I mean, at some point, things were contested and difficult. So, I mean, yeah, we were working with some sort of always influx parenting plan.
What is that noise?
It's my laptop. Is that...
Okay. That's fine. It's just the fan or something?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
cooling
yeah.
itself down.
Yeah, okay. Sure, no problem. And as part of those negotiations, is that an accurate schedule?
I think we were. Yeah, we were trying to do that.
See the boys that night?
If we were going to the same party, I agreed that we could see this. If we were going to the same party, I agreed that he could see the same boys. That he could see the boys, but
Yeah. It's just a typo, so we can do it again. But yeah, he could see the boys, not the same boys.
I know. I was like,
Yeah.
if we were going to the same party, I agreed that he could see the boys, but I decided not to go to the party.
Do you think that's the right thing to do?
To go to a different party?
To not let the boys see their father on Halloween if y'all had previously agreed that he wouldn't see them?
I think that that situation that came up that I didn't expect to happen, and I think the right thing to do for the boys is to not have them experience tension between their parents. Receiving all this information about all the rumors that he had spread about me that day was very distressing, and they saw their father that day at school for several hours, so it wasn't a question of me not letting them see their father on Halloween.
Well, you RSVP'd that you were going to go to the Vice party on Halloween, correct?
I actually RSVP'd to Maggie that I was not going to come to her party, but she didn't get my RSVP in time. But I'm sure there's a record of it.
Is there anything that you would have that would have stopped you? But he could have spent time with the children.
Mr. Markel spent time with the children all day at the boys' school, and so that evening I was with the boys.
Dropping the children off at the Vice party?
Yes, my desire to be with my children.
Dissolution of marriage file?
He did.
Attend?
No, I didn't.
Why?
Because any conversation I had with Danny, whether via email or on the phone, should have been a pleading afterwards, and so I didn't feel like it would be a safe space to have the kids of the productive conversation with him while litigation was pending.
When did you remove the passports from the home? What? Okay, go.
When I moved out of the house, the passports came with me as well.
They just got up and walked?
Yes.
You took them, correct?
Yes.
Why did you take them?
Because I took all the important documents that I needed for the kids to be with me. I was in charge of the kids at the time.
Well, why would he not be entitled to the passports? Objection. Let me ask you a question, Thomas. Why is he not entitled to the passports?
Danny's not a U.S. citizen, and they're U.S. citizen passports and the U.S. citizen kids, so he has to get a letter asking for my permission if the kids leave the country. So it seems just to make sense for me to have the passports.
With the children?
Before?
You filed for divorce?
No.
During the course of y'all's marriage, y'all kept kosher at home, right?
No, not the whole time.
Well, when did you start and when did you stop?
We were married in February 2006. So during that time, we lived in a house in Tallahassee that we didn't keep kosher. And then we moved to Miami to a house that we didn't keep kosher for a year. And then we moved back to Tallahassee to another residence where we didn't keep kosher for the bulk of the rest of that year. And then when we moved into the home on Trescott, then Danny suggested that we keep a kosher home.
And you agreed?
We made certain concessions. Originally, we just didn't have any meat in the house, so it was basically a vegetarian home.
2 sets of dishes?
In the home on Trescott, there were 2 sets of dishes, but we only used the milk ones for the most part. The concession was that if Danny wanted to make meat, he could, and that there would be separate dishes for that. But I think a year or more passed in the house before they were even used, so it's just like a vegetarian house.
Vegetarian?
Well, the children aren't raised yet, so they're still in the process of figuring out what they want to do.
Together?
Yes.
At the Trescott home. Sounds like it was a vegetarian home.
Right.
Would you be vegetarian?
The boys would. I wouldn't.
So you never kept kosher?
No.
Would Mr. Markel take the boys to the synagogue?
He would.
Regular and consistent?
Yes. He usually would take the older one.
The youngest probably would not get much out of it as an infant, right?
Well, there's an argument as to what the older one got of it as a toddler.
Well, which synagogue would he attend?
Sometimes the Shomri and sometimes Shabbat.
Would y'all go as a family?
No.
Lovovich. I'm trying to think about how to say that. So, Shamray Torah, and Shabbat Labavitch.
Lavavitch.
I'll say Labavitch.
Lavavitch. Okay.
Do you want to try it?
Yeah.
Okay, so just do the lines. Sometimes Shamray
Torah.
Torah,
And sometimes
Shabbat
Lavavitch. Lavavitch. Okay.
All right, do it.
Sometimes Shomri Torah and sometimes Shabbat Lavavitch.
As a family,
No.
those temples,
I didn't Shabbat. I went once for a friend's bris, but I don't believe in... I don't agree with what they're doing, and in terms of Shomri, I would go for just the high holidays.
is that correct?
And any objection to what?
It's Jewish education.
Yeah, I thought they were a little young for it. I'm totally on board with it when they're older, but I think it's just a little young right now.
That it was. Why is she saying now? Okay, I understand. She said now. All right, that's fine. Vegetarian.
They have occasionally been slipped meat at Creative, but they're supposed to not be getting any meat at Creative.
Attend synagogue.
Yes.
Attend synagogue.
As far as I know, when they're with their dad, they do.
Take them.
No, I never took them, so I still regularly and consistently don't attend synagogue.
Every week.
He has asked to take them every week.
Yeah.
Not as far as I know.
Parenting time.
On a Saturday? No.
What are your good points as a parent?
I try to be really present with them. I try to be really honest and joyful, but set limits and boundaries. I try to, just let them be kids and have fun, and I try to make sure that they eat healthy food, and that for the most part they just they just enjoy life as a kid should. I try to spend as much time around them as much as possible.
What are your bad aspects?
It's hard to answer.
Do you have any?
I'm sure I do, but
Well, what are they? Objection, asked and answered. Well, she didn't really answer. She said it's harder to answer, ask and answer. Right. You still have to answer, Wendy. Her objection is noted for the record.
yeah, it's hard for me to figure out what they are.
Well, what would it take for you to figure it out?
I'm sure somebody else could tell you what my bad aspects are.
Well, I don't want somebody else's opinion. I want yours.
I don't know. I feel like I'm trying as hard as I can. I'm not perfect, but I don't know that I'm doing anything badly.
Does Mr. Markel feel the children healthy food?
I don't know what he feeds them. He's always tried to feed them healthy food, lots of fruits, vegetables, so my guess is yes.
Do the children have fun when they are with Mr. Markel?
I don't really know. I'm sure they do.
Is he not present? Objection. Calls for speculation, Thomas.
I have no idea.
When did you decide you wanted to relocate?
I wanted to relocate for the past 6 years.
But you did not initially file for
Oh, I'm sorry, oh my God, I was waiting for your...
This is again. But you did not initially file for...
My attorney told me that it wasn't possible.
Well, your attorney at that time was...
Someone else?
Who?
Shannon Nove?
I think it's Shannon Novi.
Novi. Shannon Novi?
So, who?
Shannon Novi?
When did you apply for the job in South Florida?
The job that I currently was awarded?
Yeah.
That job?
Yeah.
Oh, I started applying around the same time that I was told that my job was unlikely to be renewed. So probably around maybe October.
And who told you that?
The associate dean at the time, and he was concerned about how the vote would go.
Did you discuss that with Mr. Markel?
Did I discuss that with Mr. Markel?
Yeah, that you were applying for jobs out of town.
No.
Why not?
Well, we were separated at that point. I wouldn't talk about applying for jobs with him.
But it impacts your children, correct?
My work impacts my children, yes, but I didn't think it adversely impacted them. So I didn't think it was something I needed to talk to him about.
So you did not think that your children would be adversely impacted if the court grants relocation?
Absolutely not.
Where else did you apply?
I applied, I sent out a lot of letters, but in the terms of where I interviewed with a firm here that was called Igler and Dotery, which is now Adams and Reese. And
Yeah.
I interviewed in South Florida at with Howard Tenant Field's firm.
And that is the one where you were ultimately...
No, the one I ultimately got hired at is Grossman and Roth.
Does your family have any connections with Grossman and Roth?
Yes, they do.
And what is that?
One of the partners is a longtime friend of my family.
For how long?
No, I think...
Like, been knowing since you were born?
Yeah, if not since I was born, then soon after.
Got you. I'm sorry, I laughed while you were saying that line, so you can say it again, the yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if not since I was born, then soon after.
Got you. What type of law do they do?
They do a lot of different types, but the type of law that I would be doing is medical malpractice.
Plaintiff's work?
Yes.
When did you interview with them?
I interviewed with them several times. I'm trying to think when the first interview was. It all happened this fall. So there were 2 interviews this fall. One was definitely in late October because it was I remember going down for my brother's birthday. And then the second one was probably in November. So probably October and November.
All right, so did they offer you a position?
I believe in December.
Did you discuss it with Danny at that time?
No.
Who did you discuss it with?
I discussed it with lots of people.
Who did you discuss it with?
You want the names of all the people I talk about?
Well, locally here in Tallahassee.
I talked with my friend and I talked about it with my supervisor.
Is that it?
I'm trying to think about if there's anybody else that I talked about it with that's local, but no, that's probably it.
Well, when did you first inform Mr. Markel?
We talked about it in January.
And what did you all talk about?
Well, I talked to him about wanting to relocate and having this good job offer, and I asked him if it was something he would consider to relocate as a family altogether down to South Florida.
Why would it be good as a family to relocate to South Florida?
Well, it'd be easier for the boys in terms of as a family. Danny would be able to see his extended family more often. So it would be good for the boys, like I said, and I felt that Danny would be supportive of their greater access to larger Jewish community. They have more access to my family, so extended family on both sides, or, close family on both sides.
Well, and who lives in South Florida for Danny?
For him, his great uncle Lazar lives there, and for him, his great uncle Lazar lives down there half the year, and then his parents visit Lazar and his aunt and uncle, and live down there for, months at a time out of the year, usually during the winter.
Where are his parents?
Sorry, my thing moved.
Sure, that's fine.
Okay, I'm here now. Oh, let me stop this real quickly.
Sure, for him.
For him, his great uncle Lazar lives down there half of the year. His parents visit Lazar, his aunt and uncle. They live down there for months out of the year. Usually it's during the winter.
Where are his parents?
Right now, I don't know.
Where do they reside?
In Toronto?
They have a home in South Florida?
No, they stay with Lazar.
And how often do your parents come to visit?
They come pretty frequently.
Over the course of a month, how many weeks are they here on average?
It's hard to say average because since I filed the petition, they've been here more often. So it's hard to speculate.
Is it both your mother and your father?
My mom's here more often because my dad is still, well, my dad's working full time. So my mom does his office management, but things can still function. She can actually do it remotely. It's very helpful.
And they came up a lot during your birth and after the birth of your kids, correct?
They did, yes.
Here in general,
Yeah, they do.
when they came,
They would stay with us.
where did they stay?
They stay with me.
South Florida?
He has a dual Harvard degree. He has opportunities everywhere.
Any institute?
I don't think he sought any.
Correct?
I do, uh-huh.
In South Florida?
Yes.
Job description.
I would be doing research and writing and litigation.
Billable hour requirements.
I actually don't know offhand. They didn't describe it to me, so I might be written in a contract somewhere.
From them?
Uh-huh. Not on me.
Currently working?
I don't think that's safe to say.
Why not?
Because I currently work a lot of hours. I think I'd be working a similar amount of hours.
Was it a close vote?
No, I think people are really overwhelmingly supportive of the work I'm doing.
Unanimous vote?
It was.
Concerned?
Because there are a few faculty that are very unsupportive of clinical education as a whole. And so he was concerned that this idea of a third clinic would be voted down.
Florida?
I'd live with my folks.
Florida or not?
No,
He sold it?
it would.
Had been sold?
No,
Phil and Ruth?
very.
They down there?
I really don't know. I know they spend a lot of time, usually in the winter time, but I don't know how often they're there.
To the best of your knowledge?
I really don't know.
Residences?
Well, their primary residence is in Montreal.
Are they U.S. citizens?
No.
Is that correct?
I know that when they come down, they have usually 2 or 3 of their kids there, and 3 or more of like their grandkids stay with them as well. So it's an apartment with space for lots of people.
Senior community?
It's not assisted living because his aunt and uncle aren't that old, but it's an older community.
Would be.
It's actually very close to where my employment is.
How close is it?
I couldn't say in miles, but they're both in the same county, so maybe 10 minutes by car, depending on traffic.
How close to your proposed residence?
How close is my job to my proposed residence?
How close is,
They're to my proposed residence?
yeah,
About between 20 and 30 minutes.
Children attend?
Well, they have an option of schools in terms of their age right now. Hopefully Temple Beth Am.
There?
Do the children have friends down there?
Yeah.
I mean, they've spent time with my friends' children that are about the same age.
Do they have friends here?
Again, I mean, they don't have an independent friendships yet, but they call everyone at school friends, so...
Let's hold at lunch. Take a little break, and we'll come back and finish up. Okay.
No!
Do you want to do an exit and entry, and then we'll stop here for...
Okay, so I'll take a break. When is this going to be over? Is filming.
One thing you can do is at some moment when you feel like we come to a question that kind of bothers you, like kind of stare at Danny for a second, like maybe give him a little stare, and then turn back to the lawyer and then answer, something like that.
Okay.
Alright, so anyway, whenever you feel the moment's right, or multiple times if you feel like it. Alright, let's go. There's no niece or nephews down there in South Florida, correct?
No.
Florida State University system?
So that question is kind of hard to answer because when you're a tenured law professor, even pre-tenure, you don't really apply for jobs. You just sort of get your name out there and then let people know that you're interested in moving to a different school, and then you kind of just put your feelers out. So it's a very informal process.
Any of that outside Florida State?
I mean, given the process and the way it occurs, every time you go to a conference, every time you go, to New York, and you just, you make contacts, and there's always a potential for securing a job at a better university. So, last weekend.
But Mr. Markel tenure track now, correct?
He tenured.
He's tenured.
Uh-huh, yes.
Should you choose to accept it?
I have a year-to-year contract, so I have a more stable position than I did when my job was likely to not be continued. But it's still not tenure track.
The children are creative.
As often as I can.
Has your friend, Dr. Phelps, ever told you that it's disruptive?
So after I went and talked to her about it, because Danny continued to go, she thought, she then told me that she, after months had passed, that she thought I could probably go and it'd be fine, and so I decided to start going as well.
Have you ever employed Morgan to babysit the kids?
She came to my house one time so I could meet her and kind of see how she was with the kids, and she seemed fine.
Well, have you ever employed her? Did you ever use her?
Not after that one time we met with her.
In fact, she was an intern at Creative, correct?
Yes.
She kind of came from Creative.
She had very good recommendations.
And did Mr. Markel ever discuss with you his concerns with her?
He didn't have any concerns with her, so no.
He never discussed any concerns with regard to any incidents or anything?
He said that he talked to the boy and Morgan and that everything seemed fine.
Does he continue to utilize Morgan?
I have no idea.
Your eldest was born in 2009, is that correct?
Uh-huh, yes.
Mr. Markel was teaching one seminar class, isn't that correct?
Well, that was the summertime, so I don't think he was teaching anything in the summer.
been going to daycare for about 4 months. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was home with him.
And Mr. Markel was able to be home with him a lot during that time too, correct?
I don't really remember.
Well, did you, maybe you can do it here, did you apologize to Mr. Markel about the Halloween incident?
I did.
And what did you apologize for?
I think our miscommunication, I think it was because he was so upset.
Did the black Accord always have second car seats?
No.
You just got him a few months before separation?
Yes, we've been meaning to do it for a long time, but we've been kind of lazy about it.
At some point after the separation, did you move the car seats from the minivan to your mother's Lexus?
I did, yes.
And that's the same Lexus that she later gave to the middle woman who arranged the murder of my client, correct?
Objection!
All right, that's all right. Okay, during the time the car seats were in the Lexus, were there no other car seats in the minivan?
Yes.
There were not?
There were not other car seats in the minivan. I didn't purchase an additional 2 car seats, no.
Why did you put the car seats in your mother's Lexus?
Well, there was an incident with the minivan that I wasn't present for, but it seemed best to not be driving the minivan.
Did you offer the minivan to Mr. Markel?
No.
At that time?
Yes.
In the Lexus?
I had them taken to the police department to install them.
Who does that? Diapers or wipes?
Yes.
Did you leave the boys with socks and shoes?
Well, they only had 1 pair of shoes each, so they were with me. They had their shoes, but yes, they had socks. I know Danny at the time said there were no socks, but there were socks.
They only have 1 pair of shoes, so come on.
I know, I was saying that same thing
What?
every time I read that. I'm like, that's kind of strange.
My child is 6 pairs.
Yeah.
2 pairs of boots, rain boots, and it was like, what? 1 pair of shoes?
Even when they're like, even as toddlers, they have more than, Gray had more than 1 pair of shoes. That was weird to me.
It's weird.
Especially because they were very well off as well, you know?
Exactly, yeah. Strange. Is Mr. Markel, during the course of the separation from the time the petition was filed to current, has he tried to co-parent with you?
Can you be more specific?
Has he invited you to call the children during the times? Communication with them?
Yes.
Time with the children?
Yes.
On with the children?
Yes.
Without telling you?
No.
To be informed of?
Sure. Yes.
He's not,
Sure.
well, you all, the children at daycare?
I never felt like it was a true meeting of the minds in terms of what we decided was okay. I knew that Danny wanted to visit them, and that didn't seem like something I should keep him from doing if he wanted to see them. So I'm sure, you know, he asked if it was okay. I would say yes, just because I didn't want to, you know, prevent him from having any contact with the kids.
Mr. Markel?
I think I always try to tell him if it was a day I was going to keep them home from school, just because, you know, if one of them was sick or if I hadn't seen them in a while, that I just hadn't done it recently, so I just wanted a day with them. But I always try to tell them and let them know when they weren't going to be going to school.
Have you ever taken any of the children to the doctor without informing Mr. Markel? Are we defining this as post-filing, Thomas? Yes, we are. Sorry, but since filing full...
Yeah,
full,
I have ever taken... What? I have ever taken them to the doctor without.
Have
Oh, sorry. Have I? Oh my God. My eyeballs attacked.
Since filing for divorce.
Yeah. Have I ever taken them to the doctor without telling him? I don't think I have.
Was there ever a time that you took your child to the doctor without informing Mr. Markel?
I mean, I'm guessing from your line of questioning that there was a time, but I don't remember when it was.
Did your mother ever take them to the doctor?
Yes.
Was Mr. Markel present?
He's been present at times. She's taken at least one of them to the doctor. I don't know. Definitely that one time, but I think other times I'm not positive on that.
Well, prior to the filing of the divorce, was Mr. Markel attending the doctor's appointments?
Yeah, sure. Especially when I was pregnant, because I couldn't lift our oldest boy. So especially when I was pregnant, because I couldn't lift our eldest boy onto the table for his appointments.
I have four. I totally understand. Around the time you filed the petition for dissolution of marriage, did you also move equities and monies to joint accounts?
Yes.
Did you inform Mr. Markel? Answer out loud.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Did you inform Mr. Markel that you were doing that?
No.
Well, could you give me an approximation in your own head about how long Mr. Markel was not aware of where the kids, this is a good time to feel and look exasperated and look at him, okay? How long Mr. Markel was not aware of where the kids were living with you post-move to the Accra Ridge house?
I mean, I feel like that visit he made in my office was around the Jewish holidays, which are usually in September. So it had to be during that period between when I filed and when he came to my office.
Would that be late September, early October? You filed in early September, right? I don't know the Jewish holidays, so I apologize.
So, time near the end. I don't remember the date, but I could look it up.
Well, have you ever entered Mr. Markel's office without his knowledge, since this is all prior to filing the petition for dissolution of marriage? Like to drop off mail or drop off something else. Do you want to stop right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just push record.
Awesome. Action. Drop off mail or drop anything else off.
I've only slipped things under the door.
Anything that he's asked you to return,
I have.
he has asked you for?
He asked me for his bike, but my memory is that the bike was purchased by my brother, so I'm not quite sure that's his bike. So he asked me for his racket, which I did return, his bike, and then his great aunt's ring. I'm pretty sure that's it.
And in your petition for dissolution of marriage, you were seeking alimony from Mr. Markel, right?
Yes.
Did you ever tell Mr. Markel that you don't need alimony?
Whether I did or didn't, I think it's statutory.
Well, I'm asking if you told him that.
I don't remember.
In October 2012, did he have kind of like 5 to 7 day sickness, one of your boys?
Right. We talked about this before the break. Yeah, he had a cold.
And during that time, did you invite Mr. Markel to come spend any time with his sick son?
I didn't invite Danny into my house at all at the time. Things were still very contentious during that time.
Or did you allow Mr. Markel to have Skype or FaceTime or anything during that time with the boy?
I don't think we had FaceTime even at that point set up, and we weren't on a Skyping basis. Things were pretty contentious then.
Did he have any phone conversations with the boy?
I don't believe so.
Hammer out communications between you all?
I don't remember how long after, but yes, at some point around that time, he proposed a Skype arrangement.
Correct? Via emails?
I may have agreed to it. I've tried to do it. It's never been something that I thought was working, but I did it because I thought I had to do it.
Exasperation time. And what specifically doesn't work out about it?
Well, you have kids, so I don't know if you ever tried to Skype with the 2 and 3-year-old, but they like to turn the computer off. They like to play the video games instead, or they want to see YouTube videos. Like, they're very hard to keep their attention span, keeping them engaged. So it's not so much that they're having an independent conversation with their dad, but I'm facilitating the conversation with their dad. So it's more, it just ends up being a Skype call with me and him. And Danny was often using it to ask me questions about who we were meeting with and where we were going and what was going on. And so I found it truly very intrusive.
Oh, asking questions about your life?
Yes.
Intrusive on your life, huh?
Yeah.
Do the kids like it?
Yeah, I mean, I think they don't mind. Sometimes I'll say, do you want to Skype? And they'll say no. And sometimes yes. You know, they change their favorite color every day too. They're 2 and 3, so.
So the petition filed, kids away for Thanksgiving?
That he sought a communication agreement because of Thanksgiving.
Something in writing?
I'm not sure why he did it, honestly.
Children for Thanksgiving.
I did.
An uninterrupted perspective.
I don't remember the exact number of days, but probably it was maybe a week.
Period of time, correct?
I mean, it was a long period of time. Or sorry. I mean, was it a long period of time? I think it was around a week.
Talk with the children.
I thought that he was very unreasonable about the Skyping arrangements during that time.
Okay, exasperation time again. But did he Skype with the children?
Oh, yeah. I made sure he did.
And that agreement that was emailed in November, that was pretty much the agreement that you all followed for both Thanksgiving and Christmas, correct?
I tried to. I mean, I did. I went above and beyond that agreement around Thanksgiving and Christmas, especially during his back surgery time.
At some point after filing your petition for relocation, you ceased the Skype calls. Is that, let me ask you a question actually before we finish this question. When you, sometimes when you're going to look at Danny, can you like look straight at the camera, like if Danny is the camera?
Okay, I can do that.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
So at some point after filing your petition for relocation, so maybe you can do it in this one.
Yeah.
You ceased the Skype calls with Danny, isn't that correct?
I wouldn't say I ceased the Skype calls. I certainly wasn't doing them as much. I would make an effort, but it's definitely hard trying to corral 2 of them into, and they grew increasingly more intrusive.
Well, how did they grow intrusive?
Just the constant questions about what was going on and what were we doing and what were the boys, and then with the boys' attentiveness and the need for me to corral them into doing it. So it just became my job. We'd be in the middle of having some time together reading, and we'd be like, oh, it's 6:30, gotta get on the Skype with Abba, and they throw a fit, and I don't want it to be because they're in the middle of another activity. So it just became something that was just very rigid and hard to comply with.
Has Danny ever not allowed you to talk to the children when he wanted to during his parenting time?
Only if he was busy, not in an unreasonable way.
Has he ever offered you the chance during his time to spend time with the boys or one of the boys individually?
Yeah, he's offered time to spend time with the boys, which has not been something I've been interested in sorry, let me start that paragraph.
You want to do it again, that's fine.
Yeah. He's offered me time to spend with him and with the boys, which has not been something I've been interested in taking him up on. He's talked about us doing what you had talked about before with the one child, which I think might be a good idea in certain circumstances, but I want to make sure that we have some of our other things set up before we do that. So we haven't done it yet.
with regards to the passports, he provided you, well, he tried to settle that issue without having the lawyers involved. Is that correct?
I don't actually know what you're talking about.
Well, you took the passports from the house. He needed the passports to go to Canada for somebody's bar mitzvah, if I understand correctly.
Yeah.
He tried to work that out with you, correct? Saying, hey, I have this trip. I'm trying to take the kids, and I need a letter from you.
Right.
Did he provide you a letter?
He did.
Did you sign that letter?
I added the little bit about the passports to the letter.
And why would you add that part?
Because he's not a U.S. citizen, I don't think he should be in control of the passports.
Well, refresh my memory. When was the first time you told Mr. Markel you wanted to relocate to South Florida?
In January.
Best of your knowledge?
It was when we were back in Tallahassee, so it had to be between the semesters starting again, so it was pretty soon after the semester started.
Did you inform him at that time that you had a job offer?
I believe I did. I don't really remember.
What was Mr. Markel's response? You can look at him.
I think his first reaction was just sort of confusion over logistics, like how would we make it work and whether we could. I asked him again a little bit after, and he just said it wasn't something he wanted to do.
A little bit after, like that night or a week?
No, like a day or a couple days later when we were talking. I told him it was really something I wanted to do, and he said it really was something he did not want to do.
And he said it really wasn't something he wanted to do. You want to read that last part again?
Sure. No, like a day or a couple days later when we were talking, I told him it was something I really wanted to do, and he said it really wasn't something that he wanted to do.
Got it. Did he try to keep the lines of communication with relocation open, or do you feel that they were shut off?
I mean, I think communication has always been a challenge and continues to be. So whether they're open as far as relocation or other things, I mean, sure, communication's open, I guess, on all matters.
Well, to the best of your knowledge, about how much time passed between that conversation and your filing your petition for relocation?
The initial conversation, because I told him that I was filing, so I don't remember how much time passed between when I said, I'm filing the petition, it's going to happen, you're going to receive it, and when he actually received it. But it was a couple of weeks around that time of this, so what am I going to do? And wait, sorry.
That's fine.
Let me start from the butt.
But yeah.
But it was a couple of weeks around that time of this is what am I going to do? And I'm going to file it soon and it's going to happen.
Do you feel that the job that you have here allows you a decent amount of time, a decent amount of flexibility with the children?
It does have flexibility.
But do you think it provides you more or less flexibility than a typical lawyer job?
I don't know what a typical lawyer job is.
Well, you applied for one. I mean, you have to spend probably at least 8 hours in the office. Isn't that correct?
That I do now?
Oh, down south, when you moved to South Florida and you started your new job.
I mean, I do think I'll have a good bit of flexibility. That was part of what I talked to them about when I was applying. It was that I have children and they're very important to me and they're absolutely my first priority and work is my second. And they're very much a law firm where all of the partners have like many kids and they're really family focused. That's like what I loved about them so much. So they understood that, and the one female partner actually that's working there, she has kids and has a very flexible schedule. So we talked about it and seemed to afford the same kind of flexibility that I have now. But, you know, I haven't started, so I don't know for sure. It's all speculation.
Did Mr. Markel pay for your third year of law school? You can look at him.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like the look is like, you know, he's like,
Yeah, because you made me move here.
why is he bringing that up? Yeah, he made you move here.
Yeah.
All right, so let me ask you that question again. Did Mr. Markel pay for your third year of law school?
Yeah. I had a full scholarship to Miami, but we moved up here for his job. So yeah, I believe so. The dean gave me a cut on the tuition, and I didn't take so many classes because I was working at the Florida Supreme Court at the time.
Are you on any current medications?
I am.
And how long have you been seeing a doctor for mental health issues?
Since last summer. So since about, I don't remember if it was June or July, but around that time last summer.
And how long have you been on medications?
About the same amount of time.
Was Mr. Markel aware that you were feeling down?
He was.
The diagnosis?
I don't know what, I mean, we don't talk about my diagnosis, only that I had certain symptoms and he thought the medication would help them, but I'm sure he has it written down in his records.
Were you taking any medications, or were you under the care of any therapist, psychiatrist before you went to this particular doctor?
I had seen a therapist before we saw the counselor in the fall, but I'm drawing a complete blank. Do you need her name?
I can help with that. But no. You can't talk. So you're looking at Danny. Okay, so Danny says, I can help with that. No. You can't talk, Danny. So no, not necessarily.
Okay. Completely forgot.
Did she describe something for you? I'm sorry. Did she prescribe something for you?
No, she didn't prescribe medication. And she didn't refer me to anyone to prescribe medication.
Why did you start seeing this particular doctor?
I was feeling very depressed, and I talked with a friend of mine who's a child psychiatrist, and she recommended him as a colleague that she worked with, or that worked with adults, and said that maybe I should just try meeting with him and see if maybe that might help.
And how often do you see him?
I just see him every 6 months to just check in and make sure the dosage is correct.
Do you see any sort of therapist underneath him on a regular or continuous basis?
I don't.
How many times have you seen him since June of 2012?
I think I saw him more frequently at first in the beginning to make sure like the dosage was correct. So maybe every 3 months. So if I saw him in June, maybe once again before the end of 2012, maybe I've seen him a total of 4 or 5 times, something like that.
So interesting. So he's he's telling others that she's not doing well mentally,
Yeah.
and then in that particular year she starts taking medications for not doing well.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there was some truth to what he was saying. Maybe he was exaggerating. I don't know what he was saying, but there's obviously she wasn't doing so well.
Yeah.
That's the same year that she filed for divorce. I think 2012, or was it 2013?
2011 is when she filed.
She filed the same year that she started.
Or she asked for it, or she asked him originally in 2011, right? And then didn't.
It says here that she started taking medications in June of 2012. She filed in September of 2012. So basically, she started taking medications, and within 4 months, she's filing for divorce. 3 months, whatever. July, August, September.
She was like, there was something wrong with me. I got to get rid of him.
So, anyway. Interesting. Sorry for the interruption.
Oh, you're good.
Do we need to stop, or where are we?
Yeah, we can stop it because it's at 16 minutes now. So,
Action. Was it the question, why do you think that the husband's
Yes.
employment?
Mhm.
Okay. Cover the cost of transporting the children?
because I'd be willing to negotiate with him on other costs, so it should be enough.
By the husband's employment?
Oh, that means because most of Danny's travel is covered by FSUs. And so if he had a conference in South Florida or there was other reasons for the travel, then maybe it would cover. That's what I meant by that. Maybe they would fund it.
Travel schedule.
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm not really as privy to it now as I used to be. So do you want to hear about it, like, pre-petition?
Yes.
You know, obviously it changed over, from the start of divorce. I'm sorry. I mean, from the start of our marriage over the 6 years. But do you want just like a month snapshot of what it is?
Specifically.
Oh, I mean, I have all the dates that he was gone. The dates that my mom came to visit, the dates I've written down at work. So I can document that for you, but I couldn't do it right now.
Mandatory travel?
Well, mandatory is there's no such thing as mandatory travel when you're a tenured law professor. I mean, you could travel 0 days or you could travel 365. You get a lot of offers to speak at conferences and attend seminars, and so none of it is mandatory, but it's nice.
A local parenting schedule? I don't think oh, sorry, that's you. A local parenting schedule?
I don't think I understand the question.
I don't think I do either. Well, okay, let me try this again. Let's hypothetically say that you stayed in Tallahassee and did a week on, week off parenting schedule.
Yeah.
Would he work his travel around that parenting schedule?
That's up to him. I don't know.
Is it possible for him, time sharing schedule?
I suppose it could be. I'm just speculating. I don't know.
Is that correct?
I do.
Is that correct?
I have.
Tallahassee is 10 years?
Because we never planned on staying here, and the thought ever since had been that we would leave at some point. That was my thing.
Getting a divorce?
You know, we plan and God loves.
Summer of 2012 traveling?
No. Wait, was I gone, like, away from the children for 5 weeks?
Spring?
Spring?
Spring of 2012?
Yeah, it may have been. I don't think it was 5 weeks. I think it was less, but I had some travels in the spring of 2012.
So you travel as well?
I don't usually travel that much. That was in an effort to, so during my first year at my job, to prove to the law school that I was going to like full on and that I could do it. So I did absolutely everything I could to try and keep my job that year. So that was the reason why I did so much excessive travel. I would never do that much again.
Well, what does Mr. Markel travel for?
Enjoyment.
Enjoyment?
It's not mandatory, so.
Okay. Well, if the court denies the relocation, go to South Florida?
I wouldn't go without my kids.
Why would you ask to go without his?
Because we never plan on staying here. At some point soon, Danny will want to leave Tallahassee.
That doesn't make any sense, that question. I'm going to have to rephrase it. Why would you ask to go without his kids?
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
So, to that time?
Wait, where part? Oh, sorry, I was up too high.
Sure. To the time?
He once mentioned it in a conversation that he'll probably want to go somewhere at some point.
In July 2012?
No.
August of 2012?
Yes, we had many conversations about that.
You told him?
I don't really remember.
Told him about that?
Sure, yeah, it was very competitive, and I didn't think I'd get selected, so.
For that position?
For the Human Rights Watch job. Or, sorry, let me ask another question. For the Human Rights Watch job?
Yeah.
It'd be based in the Southeast region, so That was anywhere from North Carolina to, Louisiana and the tip of Miami, and I'd be doing advocacy on the immigration issues.
Would you be required to travel
Probably.
more than now?
I don't know. They were just creating the position, so they had no idea.
And what was the compensation for that job?
I don't actually remember what the salary was. I think it was commensurate with experience.
Currently?
I think it was a little bit less.
A little less?
Yeah,
That position?
I was not.
Apply for that?
Sometime last summer.
Sound about right?
Yeah,
You hadn't filed for your petition?
yeah.
And you were interviewing for that job, right?
I really didn't think I could work at the law school once they found out that I was married to Danny.
Relocation at that time?
Yeah, I don't think I thought about the job in terms of like an actual relocation. I thought about it as, well, this would give me flexibility. And I really didn't think that I was going to get to keep my job in Tallahassee, so I thought that I would actually have to go looking for another job.
Job in Tallahassee?
I mean, Danny had made it clear to me in many conversations that I had my job because of him. And so if I were no longer together with him, I probably wouldn't be employed at the law school. So I started to look for other jobs.
Has that turned out to be true?
It has not.
All right, you can look at him.
I just did! Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. I side smirked him like, it did not.
Let me talk with Mr. Markel for a few minutes. Sure. Do you want to do that right now? And then stop and...
We can do it because it's only 7 minutes.
Oh, okay. With regards... Okay, so I'll be when you're ready.
Okay.
All right. There was an agreement, correct?
I was never happy with the agreement. So to the extent an agreement is an actual meeting of the minds, no. But, in the literal sense, I guess there was an agreement.
During his parenting time,
Yeah.
Danny present, correct?
Yeah.
He's not present even though it is his parenting time.
That wasn't really my understanding.
He always had to be present.
I thought that's what he wanted.
For your son's birthday party,
Yes.
did you attend?
No.
And who invited you?
Danny?
Look at him. And who invited you?
Oh, I did look at him. Yeah, I already did that.
I wasn't looking at you. So
Oh, yeah, I was already like,
I was like,
Danny.
oh, you should be looking at him.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Good. You're catching on good. All right. Speak with Danny with your boy on his birthday.
Yes.
And did you?
I didn't know.
Okay.
I celebrated his birthday with him on his own at a different party with cupcakes the day before.
Is that correct?
I don't really understand the question.
Best interest of the kids.
Yes,
Did you go?
I didn't go. I explained before why I didn't go, because every time we have a conversation, it ends up in a pleading, so I didn't feel like it was a good idea for me to do that.
In England?
I did.
With depression?
I mean, I told him I was sad, but, I don't think I identified it as depression at the time.
A doctor?
They don't know. I've talked to them about taking medication.
Medication for depression?
They do,
That you heard from a multitude of people. Oh, sorry. This is a long question. had stolen money?
I didn't hear from all of them on Halloween.
Okay.
I talked to one of the people on Halloween.
And who was that one person?
I talked to John Jefferson on Halloween.
Gotcha.
It was actually while I was pulling into It was actually while I was pulling in to go to spend some time with the boys on Halloween at their school.
Has Mr. Markel come by your office at the law school?
Yes,
And in what manner?
he's walked there.
To see you specifically?
If he comes to my office, I mean, I assume he's there to see me. I mean, we work at the same place. So,
Hey,
if he's come to my office, I assume he's there to see me. I mean, we work at the same place, so
has it been a hostile work environment since mid-October?
I mean, yeah, I would say having my colleagues come to me and tell me that, that Danny had talked to them about our divorce and that could I please try to work out with him, like minutes before I was beginning my interview for my new job position. That's a hostile work environment. And that was going on in October, November, December.
Well, did Danny want this divorce?
No,
Has Danny always expressed a desire to work through this in an amicable way?
with his words, yes.
Or has he ever said that he would do any physical harm to you?
No.
Okay. Thomas, are you finished? I am. Okay. Well, I have no questions, Wendy. Good job. You did good.
Thanks.
We're done, young lady. Let me do this. Actually, let's do a little bit of the end. I'm gonna pretend that the court reporter is talking right now. So no, the other side, yes. Miss Miss Wendy, you have the right, if somebody orders this deposition, to read it to make sure that I took everything down accurately. Do you want to read the deposition to make sure it's all taken down accurately? Now look at your lawyer, ask her,
Do I need to read it?
and then she says, yes, she will read it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right then. I think we're good. You can do your exit, exasperated exit. Maybe give a look at Danny first, and go. All right. Well done, you lady. So let's get it all together.